Welcome to Copy Chief Radio. Today's show is a new breed episode where today's most innovative marketing and copywriting stars share their most effective methods for optimizing results in the fast-changing world of direct response marketing. To check out all the Copy Chief Radio episode types, go to copychief.com/CCR. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Kev. I'm talking with Kyle Jordan. Kyle wrote to me recently to tell me he was really pissed off right after he took one of my programs, Real Free Life, because he came into it, and you can correct me, Kyle, on the facts here, but, thinking like most copywriters do, like, I need more clients. I need to compete where everybody is in the direct response markets. And then he's going to tell us his journey that led him to where he is now, which is writing for a market you would not expect. And it's such an amazing thing when you can take what we've learned and apply it to a market, a niche where it normally doesn't exist. And as you know, results explode. So Kyle, thanks for being here, brother. I'm really excited to have this conversation.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Kevin. I really appreciate the opportunity to sort of walk back through the journey and the memories, because it is funny. I went into the program gung-ho and I'm like, all right, I'm going to do everything Kevin tells me to do. I'm going to do everything my coaches tell me to do. And the second I leave the program, it's going to rain down clients upon me and everybody's going to be, knocking at my door. And obviously that's not how real life works, right? It just isn't. And it was at a time, and I think we all experience this, right? Like, we're going above and beyond to do the program. It's not just like, oh, we're just going to do the program. We're just going to work with our coaches. We're just going to do our homework. You're working your full day. You're doing all your client work, and then you're doing the program on top of that. So those were some really long days. But what happened is that it just didn't click as quickly as I expected. Actually, the thing that clicked the most was the very first thing we ever did. One of the very first things we ever did, which was that bat signal talent matrix you had us work through.
Yeah.
And the reason it clicked so well for me, and I saw this happen for other people in the program too, is it just gave me permission to go back through my past. My entire youth was spent trying to play hockey, even though I'm only 5'6", and hours in ice arenas. And I thought that was just frivolous information that was of no importance to my clients. But doing that exercise gave me a chance to reconnect with that. It opened up sort of like this curiosity of like, how would that fit in the world of copywriting? And then I was able to go out there and take what I'd learned from the bat signal talent matrix and attract clients. And right away, I was actually able to attract the number one client on my list who was like, boy, I'd love to work with this company. And through that process, I was able to do it.
It's so cool, man. And, everything I teach is not, I always tell people this, if you're coming here because you're desperate and need work, I'm not saying that's where you were, but so much of that today, and we see it like in all the programs of people, they promote them that way. They've turned freelancing into biz op in a lot of cases, right? And so they're attracting this biz op mindset. And what I'm looking to do is help somebody completely rethink how they go about this and what's possible. And that starts with you. You have to know what you want, what's possible, and then you have to go believe it and make it happen. And man, I just love to hear stories like yours when it does, because then it does kind of creep near that old cliche of when you're doing work you love, it won't ever feel like work. That's what we get to choose as freelancers, but most people don't believe that.
It's amazing sort of like the permission it opened up for me, because it wasn't just like, now I can take my life experience and trade on it as a copywriter, which, don't know why it didn't occur to me before, but it did after that. But it was also like the experiences I had as a copywriter that I could bring to other industries. So one of the transitions I made just a year ago when I finally went out freelance for myself, I had been working full time for one client, and I just finally got the itch to make the transition after completing Real Free Life. Although it took a little longer, I finally sort of got the gusto to make that move. And it wasn't just my past experience. It was all the things I had learned in copywriting that I could then bring to other clients, where I could go to e-commerce companies. And one of the big things that you'll see if you look at a lot of e-commerce companies is what I call the plague of underwritten product pages, where you go to their product pages and there's almost no copy. You go to any big brand store and you'll see like, hey, there's a picture of a chair and it says, hey, this has 4 legs, seat. It's made of wood at best. And so That's what your customers expect. But product pages are obviously so important. They're your point of conversion. Every marketer thinks about that a lot. I mean, you've done all this hustle to get somebody your product page. So just being able to do the experiment where we rewrote product pages for e-commerce brands using my past experience, the voice I had learned that was sort of organic to my life and also organic to my audience then. And we just saw conversion rates shoot up 15 to 20% overall on the product pages we were rewriting. So it was really cool to have that curiosity door open up in RFL and then be able to take that experience and bring it to clients on multiple levels.
Without giving anything away, you're writing for a hockey company. And so you're writing as voices of, in some cases, athletes, popular athletes. Yeah, we can say that.
Yes. Yep. Sometimes it's NHL superstars that people look up to. It's been a really cool experience to meet some of those athletes and discover their voice and, make a big that was one of the big transitions we were able to make is rather than just sort of sending out maybe faceless marketing material with saying, hey, this person actually has something to say. This is the face of the brand. They have cool information they want to share. Let's put their name on it. Let's sit down with them, hear what they have to say, and then send that out in email marketing to our customers. And almost overnight, we saw a 200% response rate increase from sending out messages that were just putting a name on it and writing in a personal tone, a tone that person already had. We were just exposing it.
Is there always a link to a product in the emails, or is there nurture along with it?
It depends. We really try to stay true to the influencer or the celebrity's voice. So for example, we just had one go out over Labor Day, and mostly it was a thank you to not just his staff, but to the people who have helped him get where he is in his career. But we also had a promotion going on, and it was for one of his favorite products. So he didn't have any problem saying like, listen, this is something I use every day, and I'm really proud of the work my team put into creating it. And here's sort of the trials and tribulations they went through to get this just right for me. And I'm so grateful for their attitude and their persistence to having high standards. So it was very organic to Labor Day, right? Just thanking the workforce and then everybody else around them. There's always a way you can sort of string it together. That's our job, right? As copywriters, to figure out what is the message that still gets the response we're looking for.
Just to go tactical for a second, I'm curious, do you send them out normal email style, black text on white background, no big templates or graphics? Is it like that?
Yeah, that was one of the big changes we made too. When we talk in the voice of a founder or an athlete, yes, we strip almost all the design out of it. And there's multiple reasons for that. One, it allows people just to read and consume the message rather than just having sort of a picture with a quote that can feel kind of faceless. That can feel kind of empty. Right. There's a time and place for that, sure. But when you're trying to have a personal communication that's a little empty. And then the other reason is performance. A lot of times that big stylized type of e-commerce email gets in the way of deliverability. Right. So by stripping all that sort of extraneous stuff out of there, we also saw an immediate increase in deliverability.
I just wrote I bought a pair of earbuds, and it's a scrappy brand. They're advertising why these are better than AirPods and the technology. They're really big on the tech, and they're doing a great job of educating their customers. So after I bought them, I got the founder story and all the stuff I'd want to see, and they go really heavy on the tech stuff. They could definitely nurture that down in a more understandable language. But the thing that drove me crazy is they've got this bluish gray background and then a dark gray text. It's okay on a laptop, but on mobile, you can't even read it. And I wrote to them, I'm like, hey, for what it's worth, man, this is impossible to read. Just because a marketer, you can't help yourself. I'm rooting for you. To my surprise, they wrote back and they're like, all right, I'm going to share this with the team. And I just said, black text on white background will skyrocket your readability. It's nice when they at least hear you and acknowledge and go, oh, let us try that. Because the simplest thing, they want everything to be so stylized that they kill themselves with, like you said, deliverability and readability.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it's interesting. You almost get in a place where it's what is the purpose of this message? Do we want people to read it or not? And I think you have to have the confidence to be confident in the copy and say, yeah, we want people to read this. So why would we distract them from reading this material? If we want people to just look at something and grab a big message, maybe that's a different type of message we're delivering. But if we have something personal to say, why would we distract from that? We want people to be able to consume it.
So good, man. I just want to go back a little bit because another bullet point you said in the email that really fascinated me, you were a parole officer and you said you were like puking on your shoes before you walked into the courthouse. I never had that extreme experience, but I remember at my job when I was trying to go into freelance copywriting, I had to do like breathing exercise to get out of the car and through the front door, like every morning. It was just like grueling. So what was it like being a parole officer? That's got to be just sad.
Yeah, it's almost weird to look back at that period of my life, which was over a decade. So it was a whole career before I ever got into copywriting. And it did reach the point where I would just get that knot in my stomach going to work in the morning and throwing up on my shoes in the courthouse parking lot is a real experience.
Wow.
I wish it wasn't, but I worked with a specialized caseload that was all people who had committed acts of either violence or sexual assault against their family members. It was a pretty rough crowd, as you can imagine. So after 8 years specifically of working with that type of offender, nobody had done it more than 2 years before I came along. I guess I was just a glutton for punishment. I was really burned out. And it was right around that time where I had just kind of started following internet marketing. I didn't really know what it was. I definitely didn't know what copywriting was. No idea. But I saw this internet marketing world and I was like, well, maybe this is a way I can get out, because I just couldn't face another day where I had to go in and hear another victim's story or arrest another person. It was all, like you said, just too sad. I didn't want to live it anymore. And at that point, I just happened to be on a marketer's email list. It was this guy named Jeff Sauer. His company is called Data Driven You. They're one of the leading course providers for people who want to learn about the data side of marketing, how to do analytics, how to use Google Analytics, Google Tag Manager, tools like that. And he was asking for something that nobody else was. He wanted a copywriter, but he didn't want to see a resume or writing samples or anything like that. He basically just said, hey, I need a writer. If you're interested, I'm going to have a bunch of tryouts and I'm going to pick the best person. And I thought to myself, well, half of my job as a parole officer is writing. I've got to go out and do all this field work, but I have to write everything up. And when I write, it's not just this happened and then that happened. A lot of times I have to write to get a judge's attention. And if you know anything about judges, they barely like to have attorneys letting them tell them what to do, let alone lowly parole officers. So I figured if I can do that, maybe I can do this copywriting thing. So I just kind of went for it. And as luck would have it, he did pick me. And it was an absolute amazing experience because I didn't just get an education on entrepreneurship and copywriting. I got to learn all the data techniques and how to collect, measure, and then use the information that comes from data. And it's something I trade on every day. So I couldn't imagine a better introduction to the industry.
Isn't that great, man? I love hearing these origin stories because you just never know. Most of us don't even start out going, I want to be a writer. How the heck can I get paid to write? But was that kind of in your head a little bit? Were you like, did you love writing, or was it just like,
no, exactly the opposite.
Wow.
I was really interested in entrepreneurship. And I was like, if I can tolerate what I've done for this long, I bet I could come up with something that could change my life. And copywriting was a way in the door. I knew I could write because I had to do it every day. I didn't know how good I was at it or if I was good enough to be a writer. But exactly the opposite happened. The second I became the copywriter, I went down all the rabbit holes of like this technique and reading Gary Halbert and Joe Sugarman and then John Carlton. I was like, all of a sudden they became my idols. And I was just like fascinated by it. And so I had the opposite experience of where I came in as a copywriter. And, my mentor, Jeff, was really hoping that I would grow into sort of maybe like a marketing operations specialist. And 2 years in, I had to tell him, I really just want to be your copywriter. Like I really just want to do the writing and focus on that element in the strategy. And, I don't want to do these other things. And he was happy to hear that, but it was just sort of a weird plot twist we didn't expect.
Right. That's so cool. Yeah. It found you. But you did mention that you do have a unique hack for increasing email open rates that even works in the era of data privacy. I can't help but want to know what that is.
Yeah. So I call this playing the email game. When you attract prospects to your email list, a lot of us will hopefully have welcome or onboarding sequences. And overall, those do pretty well. You're going to see pretty good metrics with those. People are going to come in because they're interested. You caught them at that moment. And for the first 5-6 days, their attention span is going to be pretty good. And then they kind of roll onto your list. And what everybody tends to see is that their list starts to stratify, right? You've got really engaged people and they are into everything you're doing. They're reading all the stuff. They're clicking on a lot of things. You've got what I call semi-engaged folks, which they might use email differently. They might like you just as much or be just engaged in what you're doing, but they just don't have time or They don't use the medium of email as much as they do other areas where they might consume content or marketing. And then you're going to have disengaged subscribers. These people, they're pretty much gone. They haven't looked at your emails in forever. But within that group of semi-engaged and disengaged, you are going to have folks that would be super fans. They would read and click everything, but they're just not getting your emails anymore. Maybe they're going to spam. Maybe they're in the promotions tab and they're, like most of us, not going to go fish an email out of the promotions tab that they can't see. So what I like to do is mimic the behavior of all three layers of those subscribers with the goal of always pushing more people into the engaged audience, because that's where most of your buyers come from. And the way I do that is I set up 3 test accounts. And so I'll set up 3, let's say, Gmail inboxes, free test accounts. And in each one of those accounts, I'm going to behave exactly like that subscriber. So in engaged, I'm going to open, click, look around, be really clued in. And semi-engaged, whatever you define for your email list is semi-engaged. Let's say they open 2 emails a month and click 1. That's how I'm going to behave in that account. In disengaged, I'm not going to touch a thing. I'm just going to let the emails land where they land and just see the performance. And this is really helpful for a number of reasons. And I'll give you an example. I had a client call me a few weeks back, freaking out because they just sent out kind of an open card email. They were launching a new product and the performance was just horrible. Like, open rate was dreadful. Nobody bought. Click-through rate was almost non-existent. And they were just bewildered. They couldn't figure out what happened. Well, I had these accounts for them. And I went in and I looked in my engaged account and the email was in spam. So we could add some context to the data they were seeing, right? Like, why is it so bad? Well, as an engaged subscriber, if their email's in spam, then we can pretty much be sure almost nobody really got their email. It wasn't that they didn't like it. They just didn't see it. So then we can kind of work backwards and re-engineer why did it go to spam? What's the language in here? Let's rework through this. Let's pull some of this out. Now let's do what you should have done in the first place, which is run a test, send it to these 3 accounts, see how it delivers. And so over time, when you do that, when you have those test accounts and you mimic your subscribers' behaviors, you're going to learn a lot of things that you can't learn just from looking at open rates and click-through rates. You're going to find snippets of copy that, are really going to improve your email performance that you can especially in e-commerce, they have a set of products. They're going to cycle through those products. They're going to bring them up again. You might bring them up in a different way, but you can take that snippet of copy, move it to your PS line, something like that. So you're just going to find different ways to reach more people. And over time, it seems a bit tedious at first, but over time, you're going to see a dramatic increase in your deliverability.
So how's your freelance business doing? Not really, I want to know. Because did you know there are 7 phases of a freelancing career? It's true, I know this because I created the phases. But not just for fun or, to have a hook. It's because I've lived all of these phases and I've now coached hundreds of freelancers through all 7 of these phases. They're real. So let's find out which phase you're in right now. And if you agree, I'll send you the short list of things you want to do right now to reach the next phase where life gets much better. If you're feeling stuck, let's unstuck your freelancing. Copychief.com/phases. Take the quick assessment, get your result, and get moving forward. Copychief.com/phases. I'll see you there. What most people probably do, I think we've been a little guilty of this, is counting on the CRM or the ISP to tell us if it's potentially going to get flagged as spam.
Yeah. Most people are just looking at their CRM metrics. And I wouldn't expect every client to have this deep knowledge or curiosity about email. Some of them don't even have email marketers on staff, right? They just have somebody who's got to do everything. So how could they possibly have time to do this? But they're whitelisting their own emails. So they're not seeing what is their real performance. Like, where are these really going? Half of your emails actually do go to the promotions tab, even for your most engaged people, for your super fans. They're still not seeing them unless they go fish them out, go look for them. So it's just another way to add context to the data that over time allows you to improve your data. And especially in this age where your open rate metrics may be off by like 20% because of Apple Mail privacy, it clues you into what's actually going on. So it's one of those things where you just, by being curious, and wondering who's on your list and how they behave, you can learn a lot more.
Are there a few common phrases and things you see in the emails that do make them go to spam or promotions tab?
I think for every industry, it's a little different. There are definitely some things that would shock you. I mean, I've sent emails that I thought were about as salesy as I can get, and they deliver wonderfully. So I just, those are things I can sort of stick in my side pocket and use over and over again. And others that I thought were written without any sales intent, and they deliver horribly. One of the things I have noticed is that there's this thing I call the balance of copy, where obviously if you have a heavy sales message and every other word is discount, sale, once again, your super fans might see that, but probably, the rest of your list, unless you've just segmented down to those really engaged subscribers, they're not going to be able to get that email. It's going to go to promotions or spam. Whereas if you were to include that language in something that has more copy, more information, it would actually deliver better. So that's one of the changes I made with a couple of my clients. We actually just started adding more copy, believe it or not. And they were shocked. They were like, we're going to be asking our subscribers to really read. And I was like, yes, we are. And their open rates went way up, and correspondingly their sales went up too. And they were like, wow, we didn't know people would actually read our emails. We thought they just wanted to look at the pictures. But by removing some of that stuff and being curious to see, well, where does this stuff actually wind up? If you look at how people are really communicating with your emails, we can figure that out.
Frequency, does that affect deliverability? There's some of the best email marketers, at least on their own personal list, they love to email almost daily. Is that a big help in deliverability?
It can cut both ways, right? Like if you're sending out daily and it's not delivering well, it's probably going to keep delivering worse if you do the same thing over and over again. And I think we will all, the extreme of this is a brand that might send you like a 25% discount picture every day, hoping that today will be the day you'll click on it and make that purchase, even though you didn't for the last 30 days. So that's the extreme of it. I think what email marketers understand, and people who are sending emails every day, is one, they really understand segmentation. And that gets back to how people use your email list. Like, I'm not going to send my semi-engaged subscribers emails every day, or my disengaged. I'm certainly not going to send them emails every day, because I have very little chance of reaching them and more chance of getting negative interaction. Either they don't look at it, they report a spam complaint, or they unsubscribe. So I get all these negative signals that then limit my ability to reach my true fans. But what I might do instead, we were talking about those founders message or using the face of the business before, is once a month, write a really personal, almost non-salesy message from somebody I know that even if they see that name tick up in their promotions tab, they're going to actually go fish that email out of there and look for it. And then I'm going to get a great signal coming from those people, and they're going to move up a layer in my behavioral segmentation. And now I can reach them more regularly for a little while, but I'm still going to respect that they use email differently than my super fans who want to read everything.
And so your business now, you're obviously more than just an email copywriter. You're, engineering. Sounds like you're managing accounts essentially, and covering the whole gambit. Is that what you do with companies?
Yeah, what I got really fascinated in when I sort of moved from info marketing, and I still do work with some core sellers who I really like their product. There's always plenty of work for copywriters in that area. But when I moved over more to email or to e-commerce, because I really was fascinated by it, it focuses heavily on email just because that's what we have to do. We know that's probably the best investment as far as converting sales. So it focuses heavily on email. But I like to look at more like the whole funnel, because if your product page copy isn't any good and you're sending out emails trying to get people to go to product pages, well, then you're going to have a problem there. If you have a great ad, but it's bringing people to a landing page that really doesn't say anything, well, then you've got a problem there. So I love to come in and sort of look from the top down and try and find those 80-20 fixes. And then look at it almost like funnel renovation. What's each little thing we can do that's going to drive a significant increase, where you probably don't have to rebuild the whole thing because you already have a successful brand, a successful company that's selling products. But where could you get a 20 or 30% increase? How could you get your welcome sequence to perform 50% better than it already does? So when I work with brands, that's when I sort of look at the top down. How can I help them? Where can we make changes with copy? Ultimately, yes, managing their email promotions to make sure they're performing really well.
And how are clients finding you now?
They're finding me through my website, Full Funnel Disclosure, which is actually not really a service website. It's just a more of a content website where I talk about the sort of whole nature of building funnels. And what I look at, actually, what I do is I go out and find funnels that I know are working, ads that are performing really well that I get a kick out of, or somebody who's doing something interesting. And I break it down in a whole content series I call Full Funnel Nudity. So I'll go and I'll talk about the ad and what's interesting and why it's working. And then actually take it a step beyond that. Rather than just doing an ad breakdown, I'll look at the landing page. How does that work? Why is that better than most of the stuff we see? What happens after that? What's going on with the emails, the order bumps, the upsells, all those things? And just sort of, it's a fascination I have myself. So I do it to teach myself, but I also share it because we can all learn from looking at great marketing, right? So it's something I sort of do for fun. So some clients find me that way. Otherwise, like a lot of us, it's word of mouth, having a good experience with one company and them saying, hey, you should talk to so-and-so and so on. And then also I do my own outreach as well. We all have to do that. We all have to make sure people are coming in the door. So that as well.
Well, that's that authority content, right? I mean, that is, to me, the best way you can possibly use it. I think you just mentioned like three things. One is you're studying funnels from people in companies that you like and admire, and you're looking at what they're doing well. You're also discovering anything they might be missing that they could be doing. Three is you're writing about it. You're teaching. Whether they ever become clients or know you're writing about them or not, you're using what you're learning, like you say, your own fascination as the heart of your authority content, which educates the market for what you do, right? Based on real live examples. And the outreach part, to me, that's the best win, is when at worst, you get some great authority content out of it. At best, you send it to the company, they see it and they're like, we need to talk.
Yeah. And that's exactly how it works. When I find something that really impresses me or I like it, it's sort of, I think this is probably, I want to say it was one of the RFL coaches who coined this phrase for me, and the critique sandwich, hey, I love you because, right. But I was really surprised to find out maybe you're not doing this. Here's an example, or here, I went and did it for you. Yes. And I just show that to them. And that gets a lot of people interested. And it's a really fun way to meet, at the very least, to meet new contacts in business and companies that become good relationships, just become good contacts.
I love it. Yeah, because even if they're not ready to hire or whatever, somebody's probably asking them, who does your copy? Or, hey, I'm having this problem. And they're like, oh, you should probably talk to this guy who just wrote. He just did this thing for us or showed us this thing. It sounds like exactly what you need.
Yeah. I mean, that happens quite a bit where I'll get, it happened just a week ago where I got a call sort of out of the blue. And somebody said, hey, this landed on my desk today. Do you have time to talk about it? And I wish I would have handled the call better because I wasn't expecting it, but it still went over and set up a meeting and all that stuff. But, nice. Even I'm shocked sometimes and it doesn't happen every day, but it's fun when it does. And to be able to use outreach to also hone your craft, I think, is what I get out of it most of all. I know that just by doing outreach the right way, I'm getting better at what I want to be doing.
And I'm assuming it's a lot of referral-based word of mouth now too, your business.
Yeah, definitely. It's people who know clients I've worked with or have seen those clients, seen what they're doing, seen that they're doing something different and asking like, why are you doing this different? And so that brings people to the front door as well.
I think that deliverability, if you're not doing this already, like that could be a really cool step one service. It's just like helping them understand their deliverability and fixing that first.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly is an interesting time because we can't just rely on what we see in our CRMs anymore.
Right.
We have to be able to not just use the other tools, but I think what clients enjoy the most is when you can give them context rather than just saying, oh, well, that one, that's not performing so great. That's not really all that helpful. They probably already know that, or they probably already know they want to be doing better. But when you can go and show them hard evidence of why it isn't, and you can use your experience and the context. And that's as simple as just being curious enough to see what they're doing and following along. By doing that, you're showing them that you're somebody of value. You're not just somebody showing up at their door one day, knocking and saying, hey, wouldn't it be nice to work together? No? Okay. You followed along. You're a fan. It's authentic. It's genuine.
Yes. That's the best thing, dude. I'm going to just bring you on as a coach at this point, man, because you're just singing my song, bro.
Well, as long as I can get coaching while I'm coaching, I'm all for it.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it. So what's next? What do you want to do next with the business?
I don't know. I'm just enjoying where I am. And that's one of the really cool things that I think has transpired from putting everything. I've kind of, like I said, it's been slow growth. It took me 2 years to put everything I learned in RFL into play, mostly because I wasn't doing freelance at the time, but a lot of just sort of having fun with each new stage, because I have this sort of a long career in another line of work where, at one point it became kind of traumatizing. I'm really grateful for every day I get to see a new technique or learn something new about copywriting or marketing. Yeah. The new thing for me is just, starting to put out my own content. That was authority content. The first blog post I put on my website was something I wrote in RFL like almost a year and a half ago. And I'm like, oh, I guess I should probably put this up now. It took that long to do it. But, once you get in a rhythm, that momentum keeps going. So doing that has really been the next current step, the next thing I'm having fun with. But I still am excited every day I can get up and learn something new for my clients or help them achieve a new goal. I mean, there's always new products and new ideas being brought into the world, and to be part of that and be part of the transaction that happens there, it still gets me up in the morning.
That's I guess the gift of a long career, with doing something that you found very trying, traumatizing, even like you said. It's like you'll never not appreciate the fact that you're not having to do that, and you got to build a thing of your own that you get to own and drive and grow.
Yeah, a long career in government work will make you really grateful for the days when you can make your own decisions, and it's not just do it this way because that's what we told you to do. Follow orders and don't question it. There is no following orders, right? You're on your own orders. Certainly, we all answer to somebody, but it is your own thing. And I think it is one of the things you taught me in RFL too. If you're unhappy, make a change. It's your business now.
That's why we did all this work, to develop these skills and to land clients and gain momentum. And then we get to guide it. Like, that's the gift. And it's not easy. There's always a ton of options and ways to do it. But if you're always introspective about what you really want and you believe that you get to choose, then it's magic.
Certainly.
Yeah. Great stuff. Kyle, thanks so much, man. It was great having this conversation, and I really appreciate you sharing so openly everything you've been through, everything you're doing. Some really great tactics in here. Tell me again where everybody can go find you.
Yeah, it's fullfunnelDisclosure.com. So FULL funnelDisclosure.com. You can go there and find me there. I don't have a whole lot of contact information on the site, but if you're interested in the funnel breakdowns or full funnel nudity, which is a content series, you can jump on the email list, and I've already been chatting back and forth with a lot of subscribers. So it's been fun, and you can find me there.
Awesome. Thank you, Kyle. We'll do this again soon, man.
Thanks a lot, Kev.
Hey, don't forget your goodies. Head over to copychief.com/copychiefradio to get some great free stuff to help you put the things you hear on the show into action for your business. Copychief.com/CCR.